Hi, it's me again, Mom MC. I hope this day will be another day full of learnings for all of you. For this lesson, you will be needing your knowledge and understanding about your previous lessons. This will be the application of the things we have discussed before. So today's lesson will be about solving problems involving quadratic equations and rational algebraic equations. We will be covering your MathPacks for grade 9, quarter 1, week 4C. So as promised, here are some stick challenges. So I have only prepared 2 for today. So I hope you will get it right. So we have here set of sticks again. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 sticks in total. So the challenge is to move 3 sticks to turn this fish. So this is a fish. Isn't it obvious? So our fish is facing the left side. So um, using 3 moves only, we need to turn this fish in such a way that it will be facing the right side. So I will be giving you again 20 seconds to try this challenge, and then after that I will be revealing the answer or the correct way and how to do this. So let me start. So your timer starts now. So again, 20 seconds. So we have here 8 sticks in total. So we need to turn this fish so that it will be facing the right side. And we only have 3 moves to do this. Okay, and your time is up. Okay, so how do we do this? Again, we have here a fish and it's facing the left side. So we need to turn this fish in such a way that it will be facing the right side, and we only have 3 moves. So let us count. This one is the first move. So 1, 2, 3. So this is now our fish and it's facing the right side. So that is how you do it. So if you get it right, then good job. Let's proceed to the next one. Now let us proceed with the second challenge. So what is the highest number which can be formed by moving only 2 sticks? So we have several sticks here. We are only allowed to move 2 sticks to make the highest possible number. We have here 5008. So we will be making another number out of moving 2 sticks from this set of sticks. So I will be giving you another 20 seconds to do that. Then after that, I will be revealing the answer. So your time starts now. So you try this one. What is the highest number which can be formed by moving only 2 sticks? Again, moving, meaning halin ta na sa isa ka pwesto, putang mo na ta na sa isa ka pwesto. And we will be making the highest possible number. Okay, and your time is up. Okay, so this is how you do it. So we have moved this stick from here, gimutan natin dyan, and then ang stick dyan, gimutan natin dyan. So we now have 511,108. If this is your answer, then you might be correct. But there is still another answer. And that is if you're going to flip, or kumbaga, baliskadon mo ang imong number. So from having 511,108, kung baliskadon mo numbers, we will have 801,115. So this is now the highest possible answer. So pwede man tong una. Pero if allowed ang flipping or turning your paper, like for example, upside down, then you can have this answer, 801,115. So it's up to you. If you don't have any restrictions, then this will be the final answer. Pero if not allowed ang flipping or ang turning your paper or your cell phones or anything gimbutangan mo sa number nga gimbaliskad, then you can have the 511,108. Okay? And if you got this right, then good job. So let us have this Lesson proper. Many real-life problems can be represented and solved using quadratic equations. There are conditions in a given problem which, when translated to the equation form, lead to a quadratic equation and two possible answers can be obtained. Because remember, we are dealing with quadratic equations, and quadratic equation is in second degree. That means to say we will be expecting two roots for every quadratic equation that we are going to solve. And those two roots or those two solutions can be identical or similar, or they can be different. In some problems, a set of answers can be discarded. For instance, negative dimensions, distance, time, speed, and age, because we don't have such. We cannot say that the distance from Tigbawan to Miagao is negative 10 kilometers, or we cannot say that Maria is negative 70 years old. So we don't have such. So these negative values will be discarded as your solutions. So here are some suggested steps in solving problems involving quadratic equations and rational algebraic equations. First, read and understand the problem. This step is a must. Second, identify what is given and represent the unknown with a variable. Now, we are used to using x as our unknown variable, but there are still a lot of letters, a lot of symbols which can be used in representing our unknown variables, so you can use them. Third, form an equation that accurately represents the given situation. This equation will be called your working equation. And of course, you need to solve that equation. And since our topic is about quadratic equations and you have learned the different methods in solving for the roots and solutions of your quadratic equations, you can use them. Like for example, computing the squares, factorization, the use of your quadratic formula, etc. Fifth, check the solution based on the given condition or conditions of the problem. But this step is optional because oftentimes we don't have the luxury of checking our answers or solutions because we only have limited time. But if you have the time, then try to check your solutions or your answers because you might forgot something, or especially your signs. So you might missigned numbers. So please be very careful with your signs. Signs are very important. And then last one, write the final answer in sentence form. Do not forget the unit of measurement if needed. So always label your answer because we are dealing with problems, especially problems involving quadratic equations or rational algebraic equations. Now let us proceed with example number 1 on your MathPacks. On a journey of 100 kilometers, Dream travels at a certain speed for the first 60 kilometers and then increases the speed by 15 kilometers per hour for the remaining distance. If the whole journey takes 2 hours, find his two speeds. So again, the first step in solving this kind of problem is to identify what is given and represent the unknown with the variable. So that is aside from reading and trying to understand the problem. So we let x to be the speed for the first 60 kilometers. So Jim traveled the distance of 60 kilometers with a speed of x kilometers per hour. Then we let x plus 15 equals the speed for the last 40 kilometers because it is stated here that Jim increases the speed by 15 kilometers per hour for the remaining distance. So ang una na is x, kaya nag-increase na by 15. So we will have x plus 15. Then we will have the second step. So the second step is to form an equation that accurately represents the given situation. Remember, time at slower speed plus time at faster speed is equal to total time. We will also be needing this table so that we can put all our unknown values or unknown variables and our known variables, of course. So speed is in kilometers per hour, distance is in kilometers, and then time is in hours. So for the first 60 kilometers, we have represented the speed to be x. And for the remaining 40 kilometers, we have represented the speed to be x plus 15. This x is our slower speed because this one is our faster speed. Okay, remember, this is the initial speed and nag-increase si Jim sang 15 kilometers per hour after na-travel ang 60 kilometers. So that means to say this is the slower speed and then this is the faster speed. Now, remember as well that speed or rate is equal to distance over time. This is our general formula. So, in your science, you have discussed siguro or siguro na-discuss man sa inyo sa teacher niyo or you have tackled already about speeds. Kumbaga na topic niyo na sa mga previous years niyo. And speed is equal to distance over time. If you want to get the speed of a certain moving object, then you need to divide its distance by the time traveled. But ang question is, how about if you're looking for the distance or say for example time? What will be the formula in getting the distance and what will be the formula in getting the time? So this might be helpful. So we have here a triangle. So about distance, sa dalom we have the speed and we have the time. You can use this one para mas hapos din yung magsulo sa mga formulas involving speed, distance, and time. Now, if you try to look at here, this is speed. Speed is equal to distance over time. Distance sa upper part of your triangle. Tapos the time dito sa lower part. So, the operation needed here is division. That is why speed is equal to distance over time. So, sa babaw, numerator. Sa dalong denominator. So, that is why, para matandaan nyo, tandaan nyo lang dyan, sa babaw, si D. Tapos sa dalong si S is si T. Tapos, out of this one, you can already know, or kumbaga, mabalaan nyo kung anong mga formulas. So, speed is equal to distance over time. Now, how about if we have the time? So, time, this one is time, it's equal to distance over speed. Kaya again, si distance sa babaw, si speed sa dalom. And the operation needed is division. So, the formula for the time is, again, distance over speed. So, if you're looking for the time, you need to divide the distance by its speed or sang speed sa inyong moving object. And then for your distance, of course, kay both the speed and the time dyan sa dalom, so our kumbaga tutupong sanda. So ang aton nga operation is multiplication. So if you want to get the distance, you need to multiply the speed by the time. So these are our main formulas. And for this one, for this particular example, or for this particular problem, notice nga wala kita sing given sa time. So, we can fill this table by using our formula here, wherein time is equal to distance over speed because we already have the given distances and we already represented our speed. So, we can also get our time by substituting our distance and our speed into our formula. So our time is distance over speed. Our distance is 60 kilometers. Our speed is x. So that means to say our time is equal to 60 over x. So this is our time for the slower speed. And then for our faster speed, we have here 40 as your distance and your speed is x plus 15. That means to say your time is equal to 40 over x plus 15. So these are our representation of our time. We have 60 over x for the slower speed and then 40 over x plus 15 for our faster speed. Now, we are tasked to get the equation, the working equation. Now, time at slower speed plus time at faster speed is equal to total time. Remember, our total time is equal to 2 hours because it took Jim to travel 100 kilometers in 2 hours. So that means to say our total time is 2 hours. So if we are going to add our slower speed or time at slower speed, which is 60 over x, and then our time at faster speed, which is 40 over x plus 15, that will be equal to our total time, which is equal to 2. That is why our equation or working equation will be 60 over x plus 40 over x plus 15 equals 2. Again, 60 over x is our time at slower speed, and then our 40 over x plus 15 is our time at faster speed. And if we add them, we will get our total time, which is equal to 2 or 2 hours. So this is now our working equation. Now we move on to the third step of our problem. So solve the equation. Now we already have here the equation 60 over x plus 40 over x plus 15 is equal to 2. And this equation is a rational algebraic expression, or equation rather. So we need to transform this into quadratic equation. And the first step in transforming this one into quadratic equation is to multiply both sides of the equation by the LCD, or the least common denominator. But the question is, what will be our LCD? So try to notice we have here our denominators, x and x plus 15. Now my question is there any common factor between x and x plus 15 other than 1? Okay, so the answer there is no. There is no other common factors for x and x plus 15. Hindi ka magkuon yung common factor nanda is x, kay dyan may x, dyan may x. Because this one is a binomial, this one is a monomial. So para magkuon kita nga common factor for your binomial, dapat each term dapat may x. So notice nga sa first term lang sanda may x, sa second term wala. That means to say x is not common to x plus 15 and x. So ang common na sanda is 1. And as I have discussed during sang aton niya previous video tutorial, if there is no common factor other than 1, then automatic, the LCD for that particular equation will be the product of the denominators. So in this case, our LCD will be the product of x and x plus 15, and that is x times x plus 15. So we need to multiply both sides of the equation by x times x plus 15. Sorry lang kayo, wala kayo na add sa solution. But if you multiply both sides of the equation by x and times x plus 15, then we will have the result as 60 times x plus 15 plus 40x equals 2 times x plus 15, or the quantity x plus 15. Because, again, if we are going to multiply 60 over x by x times x plus 15, makancel out si x. Amorang purpose nga naga-multiply yan sa LCD so that the denominators will be cancelled out. So, makancel out si x, ang mabilin si 60 and then si x plus 15. And then if you multiply this one by x times x plus 15, makancel out si x plus 15. So, mabilin 40 and x. That is why we have here 40x. And then, since si 2 wala sa denominator, then we will have 2 times the LCD, which is x times x plus 15. Then we simplify. 60 times x is equal to 60x. 60 times 15, that is 900. And then we copy 40x and we copy the equal sign. 2 times x is 2x squared. 2 times x times 15 is 30x. So this is now our quadratic equation, but this is not yet in standard form. So we need to express this equation into standard form. So paano? Again, makuwanta lang ri ang standard form if ang isa ka sides ng imo nga equation will be equal to 0. So we need to transpose every non-zero term from this side of our equation going to this side. Hindi pwede nga sa right side tapos halinin sa left side. It's because we need to maintain the positive a, or the positive coefficient of our quadratic term. So this is our quadratic term and this will be our leading term. So dapat positive ang aton nga coefficient dyan. So since nga positive na dada di dyan, so ang aton nga halino na lang is those terms from the left side. So halinon ta si 60x sa pihak, halinon ta si 900 sa pihak, halinon ta si 40x sa pihak. And that process is transposing. So we need to transpose everything from here pakadto sa pihak. And remember, if you do transposing, there will be a change in the sign. Do not forget to change the sign. So 60x here, since it is positive, then this will become minus 60x or negative 60x kung halinon ta sa pihak. Positive 900 or plus 900 will become minus 900 or negative 900. And then plus 40x or positive 40x will become minus 40x or negative 40x. So we will have 2x squared plus 30x minus 60x minus 900 minus 40x, and ano mabilang sa piyak? That will be equal to 0. So this will be the resulting equation. 2x squared plus 30x minus 60x minus 900 minus 40x is equal to 0. So, interchange na lang. Kaya dapat si 0 sa left side. Tapos, these terms dapat sa right side. Pero pwede tari as na balis ka doon because we have this symmetric property. Then we simplify by combining like terms. We have here our like terms. 30x, negative 60x, and negative 40x. Hindi pwede si 2x squared because the exponent of 2x squared or the x here is 2. Di dya 1, 1, 1. Dya na wala sang variable x. So, amo lang dyang tatlo ang aton nga common terms or like terms. So, we can combine them. So, we copy 2x squared. We copy also negative 900, and that would be equal to 0. Now, what will happen to 30x, negative 60x, and negative 40x? We will combine them. Now, try to notice 30x is positive. Both negative 60x or 60x and 40x are negative. So, we can combine them or we can add them because the rule says kung parehas gani ang sign, gina-add ka gina-copy ang common side. So, 60 plus 40, that is 100. We copy the sign which is negative. That is why we have negative 100x. If you combine that one to positive 30x, 30 is positive, 100 is negative. So, the rule says you need to subtract them. Kailangan ang sign. So, 30 minus 100 or 100 minus 30 is equal to 70. Then, between 30 and 100, mas taas si 100. So that, ang aton niya sign or final sign is negative. That is why we have here negative 70x. So, 2x squared minus 70x minus 900 equals 0. This is now our quadratic equation in standard form. Now, notice that each term here is divisible by 2. Natawan nyo always. Natawan nyo, if ang aton niya A, di ba this is your A, this is your B, this is your C. Natawan nyo, if each term of your quadratic equation is divisible by the A. If it is still divisible or pwede pa ma-divide, then divide it by your A. Para nga 1 lang ang A nato dyan and mas hapos mag-factor out. So, since this term can be divided by 2, this term can be divided by 2 as well, and this term can be divided by 2, then pwede natin mapagawa si 2. Pwede natin i-factor out si 2. Para later, we will be dividing both sides of the equation by 2. So, kung ipagawa ta si 2, what will happen to 2x squared? So, we divide 2x squared by 2, and that is equal to x squared. We divide negative 70x by 2, and that is equal to negative 35x. And we divided negative 900 by 2, and that is equal to negative 450. So we have factored out 2 because we will be getting rid of that 2. So we need to divide both sides of the equation by 2. So kung i-divide mo dya, ang left side by 2, makancel out dya. So, mabilin is x squared minus 35x minus 450. And if you divide 0 by 2, that is equal to 0. So, our final quadratic equation in standard form will be x squared minus 35x minus 450 equals 0. And we are now ready to solve for the solutions or roots of your quadratic equation. And for this one, we will be using factorization. So we need to solve by factoring. So we have again x squared minus 35x minus 450 is equal to 0. So here, negative 450 is the product, negative 35 is the sum. You need to think of two numbers whose product is equal to negative 450 and whose sum is negative 35. So two numbers na kung i-multiply mo, negative 450. Kung i-plus mo, negative 35. And since our product here is negative, ang chance lang parang ang product mo is negative if ang isa mo ka number is positive, ang isa negative. So we are sure that our factors here, or our two numbers here, ang isa positive, ang isa negative. And for the x squared, factors of x squared will be x and x. So the first terms of our factors will be x. So we will have our factors. X squared factors natin x and x because x times x is equal to x squared. Then we need to think of two numbers gani, whose product is negative 450 and whose sum is negative 35. And those numbers are negative 45 and positive 10. Natawa nyo. Negative 45 times 10, that is negative 450. Negative 45 plus 10. Negative si 45. 10 is positive. So the rule says you need to subtract. So 45 minus 10 is 35. We follow the sign of 45, which is negative. Kaya mas taas si 45 kaysa kay 10. So meaning their sum is negative 35, which is what? Or which is correct sa aton niya equation. So therefore, our factors are x minus 45 times x plus 10. And that will be equal to 0. And then, we equate each factor to 0. So we equate first x minus 45 to 0. Equating means equals to 0. So x minus 45 is equal to 0. In order to get the value of x, we need to transpose negative 45 to the other side of the equation. So transposing meaning ma-change ang sign. So from being negative 45, may muta na nga positive. So that means to say our x is equal to positive 45. So be very careful with your signs, because if you answer here negative 45, then that is wrong, because the correct answer is 45, because we have transposed negative 45 to the other side of the equation. And then we equate again x plus 10 to 0. So x plus 10 is equal to 0. Again, in order for us to get the value of x, we transpose positive 10 to the other side of the equation. So positive 10 will become negative 10. And so our next solution will be x is equal to negative 10. So we have here the two solutions for your quadratic equation. X squared minus 35x minus 450 equals 0. So we have x is equal to 45 and x is equal to negative 10. Now, with this regard, x is equal to negative 10, since speed can't be negative. Diba? As I have discussed during the introduction, we cannot have a negative speed or negative distance, negative time, negative age. So, likewise, sa speed, we cannot have negative values because there's no such thing as negative 60 kilometers per hour. So, hindi pwede. Okay, so since hindi pwede ang negative, we will be disregarding the solution x is equal to negative 10. And that solution will become extraneous solution. Remember, extraneous solution are solutions we get from solving our quadratic equations or from solving our equations. But if you are going to substitute it to the original equation, then there will be a possibility nga hindi mag-equal or ma-undefined, just like what we have discussed during the last video tutorial. And in this case, it can be an extraneous solution if that solution hindi pwede sa aton nga problem. Like this one, x is equal to negative 10, hindi pwede because x here is speed and we cannot have a negative speed. That is why x is equal to negative 10 will become extraneous solution. We will be considering only the solution x is equal to 45. So that will be our final solution. So remember, x is the slower speed. That means to say our slower speed is 45 kilometers per hour. Now, our faster speed is x plus 15. So x plus 15 is equal to 45 because x is 45 plus 15. So that is equal to 60. So our faster speed is 60 kilometers per hour. So for the first 60 kilometers, nag-travel si Jim using the speed of 45 kilometers per hour. Nag-increase na 15 after na ma-travel ang 60 kilometers. So for the next 40 kilometers, gin-travel Jim used a speed of 60 kilometers per hour. So nag-increase na by 15 kilometers per hour. So next step, check the solution based on the given condition or conditions of the problem. So we are going to go back to our original equation, sa aton nga working equation kay gina, which is 60 over x. Walang una-una tagid nga solusyon or ang aton nga equation. So we have 60 over x plus 40 over x plus 15 is equal to 2. We then substitute our solutions. We have 45 for the x, and then x plus 15 we have 60. So we substitute Nantawan natin if the left side of the equation will be equal to the right side of the equation. So 60 over 45, because we have replaced x by 45, and then 40 over x plus 15, which is 60, should be equal to 2. Okay, so okay, we have here 4 thirds plus 2 thirds is equal to 2. Din natin kita nagbuhos ng 4 thirds. We have reduced 60 over 45 to its lowest terms because this one is a fraction. So, i-reduce natin into its lowest terms is 60 over 45. Reducing or getting the lowest term of a certain fraction, that means to say we need to think of the greatest common factor between 60 and 45. So what is the greatest number which can divide both 60 and 45? The answer there is 15. So we have divided 60 by 15. That is equal to 4. We have divided 45 by 15, and that is equal to 3. That is how we get 4 thirds. So 4 thirds again is the lowest term of 60 over 45. We do the same to 2 thirds as well, or to 40 over 60. You need to think of the GCF of the numerator and denominator, the greatest common factor or the greatest number which can divide 40 and 60, and that is 20. 40 divided by 20 is 2, 60 divided by 20 is 3. That is how we get 2 thirds. And 4 thirds plus 2 thirds must be equal to 2. So, as you may notice, these two fractions are similar fractions. Similar fractions are fractions whose denominators are the same. So, parehas na denominators. So, if you add or subtract similar fractions, the rule says you need to add or subtract the numerators and then you copy the common denominators. So, maraw-raw natin na dyan. So, we only have to add the numerators. So, we add 4 plus 2. So, that is equal to 6. And we copy the common denominator, which is 3. So 4 thirds plus 2 thirds is equal to 6 thirds. And that would be, or that should be equal to 2. What is 6 thirds equal to, or 6 over 3? So 6 thirds is equal to 6 divided by 3. And that is equal to 2. So 2 is equal to 2. And that is a true statement. That is, kumbaga, that is our proof now that indeed our solutions are 45 and 60. And then for the last step, we write the final answer in sentence form. So therefore, the first 60 kilometers, Jim travels at a speed of 45 kilometers per hour. And he travels at a speed of 60 kilometers per hour for the remaining 40 kilometers. So for the first 60, amala, gin-travel ra ni Jim within 45 kilometers. And then for the next 40 kilometers, gin-travel ra ni Jim using the speed 60 kilometers per hour. And that is how we get our solutions for our first problem. Now we are already on our second example on your MathPacks. So example number 2. An object is launched at 19.6 meter per second from a 58.8 meter tall platform. So the equation for the object's height s at time t seconds after launch is s of t is equal to negative 4.9 t squared plus 19.6 t plus 58.8, where s is in meters. When does the object strike the ground? So s here is the height and it's in meters. T here is the time and it's in seconds. So our given here are our speed, which is 19.6 meter per second, and we also have the height, which is 58.8 meter tall for your platform. Now, again, our first step in solving this problem, aside from reading and trying to understand this problem, is to identify what is given and represent the unknown with a variable. So we let s to be the height in meters and t is the time in seconds. We have also here our working equation, so you don't need to think of our working equation because it is already given. So s of t is equal to negative 4.9 t squared plus 19.6 t plus 58.8. So we will be solving our problems using this working equation. Now let us have step number 2. So we need to form an equation that accurately represents the given situation. But we have already here our given equation. S of t is equal to negative 4.9t squared plus 19.6t plus 58.8. Remember, when the object smacks into the ground, the height s above the ground level is 0. Because remember, we are looking for the time wherein ang aton nga object malanding sa ground. That means to say our height by that time will be equal to 0. So s of t is equal to 0. So this side here of your equation will become 0. So we substitute our 0 into our equation, so s of t will become 0. So our working equation now is 0 is equal to negative 4.9t squared plus 19.6t plus 58.8. And step number 3, solve the equation. So again, we have here your 0 is equal to negative 4.9t squared plus 19.6t plus 58.8. Now we factor out negative 4.9. Why? Because again, para hapos sa aton nga mag-solve because our initial or our a here will become 1. So it will be easier for you to factor out. So you need to factor out negative 4.9 or negative 4.9. So that means to say we will be dividing later both sides of the equation by negative 4.9. So factoring negative 4.9, ginpagwa ta si negative 4.9. So what will happen to negative 4.9t squared? So we divide negative 4.9t squared by negative 4.9 and that will be equal to t squared. We divided 19.6t by negative 4.9 and that is equal to 4. But this is positive and this is negative. Positive divided by negative is negative. That is why we have here negative 40 or minus 40. And then we also have 58.8 divided by negative 4.9. Again, positive divided by negative, that is negative. That is why we have minus sign here. And 58.8 divided by 4.9 is equal to 12. So that is why we have here negative 12. So we have factored out negative 4.9. So the next thing that we need to do is to divide both sides of the equation by negative 4.9. So if you divide 0 by negative 4.9, the answer is still 0. If we divide this side by negative 4.9, of course, this will be, or we will get rid of this one. So, makakasunod is negative 4.9. So, ang mabilin sa aton, t squared minus 40 minus 12. So, our equation now, or quadratic equation in lowest, in standard form is t squared minus 40 minus 12 equal to 0. So we factor the quadratic trinomial. So this is quadratic trinomial. So the factors of t squared minus 40 minus 12. So again, factor out t squared. We have t and then we have t because t times t is equal to t squared. And then we factor out this one. So we need to think of two numbers whose product is negative 12 and whose sum is negative 4. So kung i-times mo negative 12, kung i-plus mo negative 4. And again, since your product is negative, then we will be expecting two numbers nga ang isa positive, ang isa negative. So the numbers with product which is equal to negative 12 and whose sum is negative 4 are negative 6 and 2. Negative 6 times 2 is negative 12. Negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4. So our factors will be t minus 6 times t plus 2. Okay? So the factors, again, of your quadratic trinomial will be two binomials. So factor out mo dyan ay ang imo nga first term, your quadratic term. Then after that one, you need to think of two numbers whose product is equal to your c. And whose sum is equal to your b. Okay, diba? This is your a. Your a here is 1. Your b here is negative 4. And then your c is negative 12. And since we already have the factors, then we are now ready to equate each factor to 0. So we need to equate t minus 6 to 0. So t minus 6 is equal to 0. And in order for us to get the value of t, or our t, then we need to transpose it to the other side of the equation, or we need to transpose negative 6 from this side of the equation going to the right side. And the sign of 6 will change. So from being negative, your 6 will become positive. So that gives us us t equals 6 to be our first solution. Then we factor out again the other factor, t plus 2 is equal to 0. So transposed again, positive 2 to the other side of the equation, we will have t is equal to negative 2. So this will be our another solution for our quadratic equation. Now, remember t here is our time, and time cannot be negative. Hence, t equals negative 2 is the extraneous solution. So again, t equals negative 2 will be our extraneous solution. It is a solution for our quadratic equation, but if you are going to go back to our problem, then we cannot include this t equals negative 2 because there's no such thing as negative time. So we only consider the positive solution, t equals 6. So our time will be positive 6. So therefore, the object strikes the ground after 6 seconds. We now proceed to the next step. So we check the solution based on the given condition or conditions of the problem. So we are now ready to substitute our final solution into our original equation. So since t is equal to 6, so we then substitute 6 into this equation. So instead of writing t here, we write 6. So we copy 0, then we copy negative 4.9. Instead of writing t, we write 6, that is 6 squared. And then plus 19.6, instead of writing t, we write 6. And then plus 58.8. Then we simplify. 0 is equal to negative 4.9 times 6 squared. 6 squared is 36. 36 times negative 4.9 is negative 176.4. 19.6 plus 6 is, or times 6 is 117.6. Then we copy 58.8. Then we combine. Now, 117.6 and 58.8 are both positive, so we can add them. So we will have again 0 equals negative 176.4, and then 117.6 plus 58.8, that is also 176.4. And then we add this two. This is negative, this is positive, and they are both the same numbers. So that will be equal to 0. So 0 is equal to 0 is a true statement. Therefore, t equals 6 is indeed a solution for your quadratic equation, especially for your problem. And then we write the final answer in sentence form. Thus, the object will strike the ground after 6 seconds after it was launched. So, inhulog na. And it will take 6 seconds para nga ang imo nga object, say for example this one is a stone or a ball, will reach the ground. And the height, of course, is equal to 0. So that will be your second example. Now, let us have some exercises on your MathPacks. So, directions. Solve the following problems. Write your complete solutions in your activity notebook or answer sheet. So, gimbol ko siya sa inyo nga MathPacks. And I have provided here some examples which are similar to your MathPacks or those exercises on your MathPacks, but yun is lang kung given. So, the same problem. Try to look at your MathPacks. If you are going to read your MathPacks, the problem is just the same, but only ginlain ko mga given so that you will have the idea on how to solve your exercises on your MathPacks. Hindi man pwedeng i-provide sa inyong answers kaya wala rin kong karoon na ransiran. So therefore, in-change ko na lang ang mga given. So let's discuss your exercises on your MathPacks. So first example or first exercise, a car travels 10 kilometers per hour faster than a truck. The car covers 200 kilometers in 1 hour, less than the time it takes the truck to travel the same distance. What are the speeds of the car and the truck? So we have here a car and a truck again, and they both traveled a distance of 200 kilometers per hour. But obviously, the car is faster than the truck, and the car travels 10 kilometers per hour faster than a truck. So mas dasig sang 10 kilometers per hour ang imong truck compared sa ang imong car rather than your truck. And the time it takes the car to finish a 200 kilometers journey is 1 hour less than the time naging take ta na ni truck na i-travel ang 200 kilometers nga journey. So again, the first step in solving this problem is to represent your unknown. So we let S to be the speed of the truck, and we let S plus 10 to be the speed of the car, since ang balada dyan, a car travels 10 kilometers faster than a truck. So kung pira man dyan karoon ang value ni S mo, plusan mo sang 10 para sa speed ni car, kay mas dasig si car kaysa kay truck. So again, we will be needing this table to put all our given values and our unknown values. So our speed is in kilometers per hour, our distance is in kilometers, and our time is in hours. So the truck traveled a distance of 200 kilometers, and we have represented its speed to be S. And then the car also traveled a distance of 200 kilometers, and we have represented its speed to be S plus 10. We will also be needing this formula wherein time is equal to distance over speed, because we will be getting the representation for your time. So again, time is equal to distance over speed. For the truck, we have here the distance is equal to 200 kilometers and the speed is equal to S. So our time for the truck is 200 over S. And as for the car, that is equal to 200 over S plus 10, because we have divided 200 by S plus 10. Then we will have our working equation. Our working equation is 200 over S plus 10 is equal to 200 over S minus 1. Why this working equation? Now remember, 200 over S plus 10 is the time traveled by the car. And then 200 over S is the time traveled by the truck. And it was stated on our problem nga the time it takes the car to travel a distance of 200 kilometers is 1 hour less than the time it takes the truck to finish that distance, which is 200 kilometers. So, kung pira man ang distance sa aton nga truck, we need to subtract that 1 by 1 hour, because that will be the time for our car, because the car is faster than the truck. So, that explains why we have this minus 1 sa aton nga working equation. So since our working equation is a rational algebraic expression, or equation rather, we need to transform this given equation to quadratic equation by multiplying both sides of the equation by the LCD. And the LCD for our equation is S times S plus 10, because again, there is no common factor between S and S plus 10. So we multiply both sides of the equation by S times S plus 10. So this side will be multiplied to S times S plus 10. This side will be multiplied to S times S plus 10. Then we need to distribute this S times S plus 10 to 200 over S and to negative 1. So S times S plus 10 times 200 over S plus 10 equals 200 over S times S times S plus 10 minus 1 times S times S plus 10. Then we simplify by cancelling, or by we need to cancel out this S plus 10. Kay this one is the numerator is in the numerator, and then this one is in the denominator. So S plus 10 divided by S plus 10 is just equal to 1. So S plus 10 will be cancelled out. So ang mabilin sa aton is 200 over S. And then for your 200 times over S times S times S plus 10, your S will be cancelled out. So ang mabilin sa aton is 200 times S plus 10. And of course, for this one, because there is no denominator, so may makancel out, so we just have to multiply negative 1 to S times S plus 10. And that will give us, again, the mabilin is S and 200, so that is 200S. That will be equal to, okay, we distribute 200 to S plus 10. So 200 times S is 200S. 200 times 10 is equal to 2,000. And then we also distribute this negative 1 and S to S plus 10. So negative 1 times S is negative S squared. negative 1 times s times 10 is negative 10s. So this will be our quadratic equation. But this is not yet in standard form. That is why the next thing that we need to do is to express our quadratic equation to standard form, wherein we need to transpose every term in this side of the equation baka to sa piyak, because our leading term or our quadratic term here is negative. So we need to make this one positive. So muna lang dyan i-transpose natin sa pihak. So negative s squared transposed to the other side of the equation will become positive s squared. Negative 10s will become positive 10s. And then we copy 200s. And then we have here 200s transposed to the other side. We will have negative 200s. And then positive 2000 transposed to the other side will have negative 2000. And that will be equal to 0. Now you will ask me, why is this positive? Because wala tayo naghalin sa left side of the equation. So wala tayo nag-transpose. That means to say its sign will remain. Then we simplify. 200s minus 200s is just equal to 0. So that means to say we have here s squared plus 10s minus 2000 equals 0 to be our quadratic equation in standard form. Then we are now ready to factor out our quadratic equation. So our quadratic equation again is s squared plus 10s minus 2000 is equal to 0. So we will be factoring this equation. So we will be using factorization to solve for this quadratic equation. So we have here our product is negative 2000 and our sum is 10 or positive 10. So you need to think of two numbers whose product is negative 2000 and whose sum is equal to positive 10. Because for this one, our factors are just s and s. So we need to focus on the c and the b. So our factors are s plus 50 times s minus 40, and that would be equal to 0. So s squared factors natin s and then s. And then as for this one, the product is negative 2000, the sum is 10. So those two numbers whose product is negative 2000 and whose sum is positive 10 are 50 and negative 40. 50 times negative 40 is negative 2000. 50 plus negative 40 is positive 10. So that means to say our factors are indeed s plus 50 and s minus 40. So the next thing that we need to do is to equate each factor to 0. So si s plus 50 di dyan, i-equal natin kay 0. And then si s minus 40, equal man natin kay 0. So to solve for the value of s, we need to transpose 50 to the other side of the equation. So that will give us s is equal to negative 50 for our first solution. And then, for the next solution, we need to transpose again negative 40 to the other side of the equation. So this will become positive 40. So our next solution will be s is equal to positive 40. So we have two solutions for your quadratic equation. That is s is equal to negative 50 and s is equal to positive 40. Now, speed again cannot be negative. Hence, s is equal to negative 50 is an extraneous solution. So we cannot include s is equal to negative 50 because s again here is the speed of the track. So the speed of the track cannot be negative 50. So we will be considering only the positive value or the positive solution, which is 40. So s is equal to 40. So this is the speed of the track. And as for the car, again, the representation for the speed of the car is s plus 10. So s is 40, so that will be 40 plus 10. So that is equal to 50. So the speed of the car is equal to 50. Now, therefore, the speed of the track is 40 kilometers per hour, while the speed of the car is 50 kilometers per hour. So this is now our answer, or these are our answers or solutions for our problem. Now let us have the second exercise. Two planes make a 450-mile flight, one flying 20 miles per hour faster than the other. If the slower plane takes 6 hours longer, what is the rate of each plane? Remember, rate here is also the speed. So we are asked of the speed of the two planes. We have here two planes, the faster plane and the slower plane. So both planes traveled a distance of 450 miles. So we let s to be the rate or the speed of the slower plane, and we let s plus 20 equals the rate or speed for the faster plane, since it was stated here that the faster plane make a flight of 20 miles per hour faster than the slower plane. Then we will be needing again this table to put all our given values and our unknown values. So the slower plane make a flight of 450 miles, and we have represented its speed to be s. And then for the faster plane, the faster plane also make a flight of 450 miles, and we have represented its speed to be s plus 20. We will be getting again the representation of our time. So time again is equal to distance over speed. So for the slower plane, it's 450 over s. And as for the faster plane, that is 450 over s plus 20. And then for our working equation, we will have 450 over s plus 20 equals 450 over s minus 6. So why this working equation? Again, this one is the time for the faster lane. 450 over s plus 20. That will be equal to 450 over s. This is the time for the slower lane. Minus 6, because it was stated here that the slower plane takes 6 hours longer. That means to say, mas shorter ang, because mas dasig si faster plane, mas shorter ang nga time nga ging fly ng distance ng 450 miles. So that is why we need to subtract 6 from the time nga ging travel ni slower lane to get the time ni ging travel naman ni faster plane. So again, our working equation is 450 over s plus 20 equals 450 over s minus 6. So we need to transform again the given equation to quadratic equation by multiplying both sides of the equation by the LCD. And the LCD is s times s plus 20, because our denominators has no common factor other than 1. So we multiply 450 over s plus 20 by s times s plus 20. And then we multiply 450 over s minus 6 by s times s plus 20. Then we distribute. So we multiply again s times s plus 20 to 450 over s plus 20. So we multiply also 450s by s times s plus 20. And then negative 6 by s times s plus 20. So we have distributed s times s plus 20 to both 450 over s and to negative 6. Then we simplify. So for this one, we have cancelled out s plus 20. So ang mabilin sa aton is 450 and s. For this one, makancel out si s. So ang mabilin 450 and s plus 20. For this, wala may makancel out. So we just have to multiply 6 to s and to s plus 20. And then we simplify. Again, ang mabilin din dyan, 450 and s. So that is 450s. Then 450, distribute that one to s plus 20. So 450 times s is 450s. 450 times 20, that is 9,000. And then negative 6 times s, that is negative 6s squared. Negative 6 times s times 20, that is negative 120s. Then, we will have your quadratic equation in standard form. So this quadratic term will be positive or should be positive. So we need to transpose that one to the other side of the equation, as well as all the other terms in this side. So negative 6s squared will become positive 6s squared. That is after we have transposed. Negative 120s will become positive 120s. We copy positive 450s. No need to change the sign because dyan lang ta na sa left side. Wala ta na naghalin, wala ta naging transpose. And then 450s transpose to the other side, we will have negative 450s. And then last one, 9,000 transpose to the other side, we will have negative 9,000. And that will be equal to 0. Then we cancel out 450s and negative 450s because they will be equal to 0 when combined. So what is left is 6s squared plus 120s minus 9,000 equals 0. And then again, we divide both sides of the equation by 6, or another way of saying that one is we factor out 6. So i-divide natin tanan nga terms by 6. So 6s squared divided by 6 is s squared. 120s divided by 6 is 20s. And then negative 9,000 divided by 6 is negative 1,500. And that would be equal to 0 because 0 divided by 6 is also equal to 0. So we have reduced our quadratic equation in such a way nga ang aton nga leading term here, ang anang coefficient will be equal to 1, or our a will be equal to 1, because in that way it will be easier for us to factor out because the factors of s squared or s and s. Okay? So, ang purpose kung nga gusto natin yung a natin dyan is equal to 1. So that, ang factors na will be the variable lang. So, s squared, we will have the factors s and s. Ang libugan na lang sa ulo natin is ang product na negative 1,500 and ang sum nga positive 20. So again, we need to think of two numbers whose product is equal to negative 1,500 and whose sum is positive 20. And those numbers are positive 50 and negative 30. So when we multiply 50 by negative 30, that is negative 1,500. If we add 50 and negative 30, that is equal to positive 20 because they have different signs. So i-minus ta. 50 minus 30, that is 20. Then we take the sign of 50 kay mas taas na. So that is why we have here positive 20. And so we have the factors s plus 50 and s minus 30. We then equate each factor to 0. So s plus 50 is equal to 0. To solve for the value of s, we transpose positive 50 to the other side of the equation. We will have s is equal to negative 50. So our first solution is s is equal to negative 50. And for the next factor, we transpose as well negative 30 to the other side of the equation. So that gives us s is equal to positive 30. So our solutions are s is equal to negative 50 and s is equal to positive 30. But then again, speed cannot be negative. So we disregard again negative 50 to be the solution. So negative 50 then is our extraneous solution because we cannot have our speed to be negative. So we consider only the positive solution, which is positive 30. So s now is positive 30, and that s is the speed of our slower lane. So since s is equal to 30, then s plus 20 is equal to 30 plus 20. So disregard this one. I'm so sorry for this one. So just see 1 is equals. So 30 plus 20 is equal to 50. And that 20 plus 30 plus 20, which is equal to 50, will be the speed of our faster plane. So therefore, the speed of the slower plane is 30 miles per hour, while the speed of the faster plane is 50 miles per hour. We are now down to our last exercise. So a projectile that is fired vertically into the air with an initial velocity of 85 feet per second can be modeled by the equation s is equal to 85t minus 10t squared, where s is the distance in feet of the projectile above the ground after t seconds. How long will it take to reach a distance of 150 feet? So again, we have here our projectile. So, ang question is, how long will it take to reach a distance of 150 feet? We have two answers here. So, pwedeng ang projectile natin di dyan. So, kumbaga ang una nga 150 feet. And remember, makadura di dyan sa pinaka-peak, sa pinakababaw. But then, mabalikta na. So, it will reach again 150 feet. So, meaning karwata na mag-reach ng distance kang 150 feet. So, we will be expecting two answers for this one. So we let s to be 150 feet, or yeah, s is equal to 150 feet, and s is equal to 85t minus 10t squared. This one is given. Okay, s is equal to 150 feet because we are looking for how long will it take to reach a distance of 150 feet. So s natin is 150 feet, and our equation is s is equal to 85t minus 10t squared. So we express our quadratic equation to standard form, but then we need to substitute first our given. Our given is 150, and our equation is s is equal to 85t minus 10t squared. So we need to substitute this s by its value, which is 150 feet. So that is why we have here 150 equals 85t minus 10t squared. So ginistanta lang si s by 150 because it was given here that s is equal to 150 feet. So this will be our equation, and we need to express this equation in standard form. So to express this one in standard form, we need to transpose every term here from this side of the equation going to this side, because as you may notice here, your quadratic term is negative. So muna lang dyan i-transpose natin to the left side. So negative 10t squared will become positive 10t squared. Kaya mabaylo ang signs, kaya gin-transpose. 85t will become negative 85t. Kaya nagbaylo naman ang sign. And 150 will remain positive because wala ta na naghalin. Diyan man gapunta na sa left side sang equation. And since darwa ka dyan nga term, ginghalin ta ron sa piyak, ang mabili na lang dyan 0. So that is why we have equal to 0. So our quadratic equation in standard form is 10t squared minus 85t plus 150, and that will be equal to 0. Then we divide both sides of the equation by 5. Why 5? Okay, the a here is equal to 10, but we cannot divide both sides of the equation by 10 because obviously this term, this negative 85, is not divisible by 10. We will have decimals, and mas budlay mag-deal sa decimals. So since 5 is also a factor of 10, so instead of dividing both sides of the equation by 10, we just divided it by 5 because all of the terms here are also divisible by 5. So 10t squared divided by 5 is 2t squared. Negative 85t divided by 5 is negative 17t. Positive 150 divided by 5 is positive 30. 0 divided by 5 is equal to 0. So our reduced quadratic equation is 2t squared minus 17t plus 30 equals 0. We then factor out our equation. Now, factors of 2t squared will be 2 and 1. Kay t 2 mon, so we will have 2t and t. So our first term for each of our binomial later will be 2t and t. And then, we will have here your 30 and then your negative 17. Our factors will be 2t minus 5 and t minus 6. Si 30, hindi siya pwede nga mangin product natin because we need to consider our 2 here. So our factors will be 2t minus 5 and t minus 6, because if you are going to use your FOIL method, we will have 2t times t, and that is equal to 2t squared. 2t times negative 6 is negative 12t. Negative 5 times t is negative 5t. Negative 12t minus 5t is equal to negative 17t. And negative 5 times negative 6 is positive 30. So that is why we have here 2t minus 5 and t minus 6 to be our factors. And we need to equate each factor to 0. So 2t minus 5 times t minus 6 is equal to 0. So we factor or we equate each factor to 0. So 2t minus 5 will be equal to 0. And then t minus 6 will be equal to 0. Then we need to solve for the value of t. We transpose negative 5 to the other side. So we will have 2t is equal to positive 5. But this is not yet our final answer because we still have 2 attached to your t. So we need to divide both sides of the equation by 2. So 2t divided by 2 is equal to t. 5 divided by 2 is equal to 5 halves, or 5 over 2. So our t is equal to 5 halves, or that is equal to 2.5. And then for the second factor, we have to transpose negative 6 to the other side. So negative 6 will become positive. So t is equal to positive 6. So this will be another solution for our problem. So t is equal to 5 halves or 2.5 and t is equal to positive 6. And since these two are both positive, so they are both solutions for our problem. So, di ba, we will be expecting two answers. Ang isa, t is equal to 6. So, it will take 6 seconds para nga ma-reach sang imong nga projectile ang 150 feet. And ang isa pa gid is 2.5. 2.5 seconds. So meaning, ang projectile mo ma-reach na first 150 feet within 2.5 seconds. And then after 6 seconds, malanta na din dyan. So you will have another 150 feet. Kumbaga malabot sa mga projectile ang 150 feet after 6 seconds. So we have two answers. We don't have the extraneous root or the extraneous solution because both solutions are possible. Kumbaga, pwede sanda nga solutions ang aton nga problem. So again, we have t is equal to 2.5 seconds and t is equal to 6 seconds. So it will take 2.5 seconds or 6 seconds for a projectile to reach a distance of 150 feet. So before we end this video tutorial, I want to add this one to you because I think I wasn't able to elaborate or to explain further how we got 2t minus 5 and t minus 6 as factors of 2t squared minus 17t plus 30. So try to notice here that our a is not equal to 1. This will be easier for you to factor out if our a is equal to 1 because we will be focusing ourselves with our c and our b. So c as the product and b as our sum. But since a is not equal to 1, then I will be introducing to you another method to solve this kind of equations wherein your a is not equal to 1. So that method is called the AC method. AC is basically just A times C. So we need the product of your A and your C. Your A is equal to 2 and your C is equal to 30. So your AC is equal to 2 times 30 is equal to 60. So ang 60 nga siya, this will become your product. So kung A mo is equal to 1, ang C mo dyan automatic may mo nga product mo. But since nga A mo is not equal to 1 but other number, then you need to have your AC. And your AC here is 60. 60 will become the product and the sum is still equal to negative 17. So in order for you to get the factors of 2t squared minus 17t plus 30, you need to think of two numbers whose product is 60 and whose sum is equal to negative 17. 60 is positive, so the two numbers or two factors of 60 can only be both positive or both negative. But since your b here is negative, then we can say that the two factors are both negative. So the two numbers whose product is 60 and whose sum is negative 17 are negative 5 and negative 12. Now after getting those numbers whose product is 60 and whose sum is negative 17, we will be rewriting our original equation in such a way that negative 17t will be splitted. Kumbaga, we will write negative 17t as the sum of negative 5t and negative 12t. So we copy 2t squared, and again, i-split natin sa negative 17t. So we will have negative 5t and negative 12t. Then we copy plus 30 equals 0. After that, we regroup. We will be grouping, diba, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 terms. We will be grouping these 4 terms into 2 groups. And in such a way that each group will have a common factor. So, i-grupo natin. Grupuhon natin ng si 2t squared minus 5t. And then, you will see to it nga may common factors on that. But, every number and every term has common factor naman, which is equal to 1. So, bisan diin naragali dyan imo i-group, okay get. So, we will be grouping 2t squared minus 5t, and we will be grouping negative 12t and 30 Kumbaga, we will be putting them into one group. So, we will have 2t squared minus 5t. And then, yung pagwa naton ang negative ni 12t. So, pagwaon naton ria. And then, 12t then, or negative 12t then, will become positive 12t sa sulod sa parenthesis. Kaya yung pagwatan na nga negative. And since si 30 butang to sa sulod sa parenthesis, then dapat ang positive 30 kaya ma-change lang sign na. Kaya ang sasagwa na negative. So, positive 30 divided by a negative, butang ta negative 1, then your 30 will become negative. So, hindi ka mo ma-confuse, didya plus, didya minus. It's because ginpagwa ta ang negative. That is why, from being negative, si 12 naging positive. From being positive, si 30 naging negative. Then, after regrouping, we will be getting the common factor for each group. So, anong common factor kay 2t squared kay 5t? So, we have your t. Gimpagwa ta si t. 2t squared will become 2t because 2t squared minus or divided by t equals 2t. Negative 5t divided by t, makancel out si t. So, ang mabilin negative 5. Then, anong common kay 12t kagay 30? So, since wala t si 30, so hindi pwede nga t. So, di dyan ka ma-focus sa number. Anong common kay 12 kag negative 30? So, it's 6. So, pag-uwan natin si 6. What will happen to 12t? 12t divided by 6 is 2t. Negative 30 divided by 6 is negative 5. So, that means to say, ang aton nga mabilin is 2t minus 5, tapos ang sasagwa, negative 6. Now, try to focus on the two terms. Two terms na lang dyan. This one is one term. This one is another term. Now, common sa dalawa ka terms, si 2t minus 5. Di dyan may 2t minus 5. Di dyan may 2t minus 5. So, that means to say, pwede ta pariya pagwaon. Pwede ta factor out. So, pagwaon natin ang andang common terms or ang andang common factor which is 2t minus 5. So, we will have one factor as 2t minus 5. Then, we will group those nga nabilin sa 2t minus 5. Ang pares ni 2t minus 5 di dyan is si t. So, we will have t. And then, we have here minus. So, minus. Anong pares ni 2t minus 5 na di dyan? Si 6. So, we have 6. So, kung magaging pagwaan natin ang common factor in anda, and then ang nabilin sa taga-term, ginimo naton or group man naton into one factor. That is why we have here 2t minus 5 and t minus 6. And this 2t minus 5 and t minus 6 are the factors of your 2t squared minus 17t plus 30. So, these are your factors. And then, after that, nag-solve lang kita sang values of t naton sa previous naton examples. Okay? So, I hope this one is already clear to you. Kay, do pa matsyag ko, do wala ko kaya na-explain. So, okay lang kung ang A mo is equal to 1 ang B. No? Examples naton. Kay, bala nyo ron di ang ma-focus lang kita sa C ka sa B. Pero, ang jata na, ang A naton is equal to 2. So, that will be another method, Roman. So, that is why I am recommending you to use AC method. Okay, but there are still a lot of methods that you can use to solve these quadratic equations. You can still use your quadratic formula and your other methods. Okay, not just factorization. But if you are going to use factorization, then I strongly recommend AC method. Okay. And that's the end of our lesson for quarter 1 week 4C of your MathPacks for grade 9. See you again in our next video tutorial. Stay safe and healthy always, mga palangga. Bye!